Good to see some of the familiar names on the screen. Thank you so much for taking your time for joining us for this webinar today. And thank you to a lot of you who wrote into us after our previous webinar and generally just wrote into us on GlobalLinker, sharing your experiences and questions and challenges. So when I read these questions and I talk to a lot of you, there is one common theme that emerges from these questions and discussion. And it's really decrypting the world of selling online. Most of us are extremely comfortable as consumers buying things online. So when we play the role of consumers online, it's something that we can do very easily. But the whole concept of selling online can seem like an extremely daunting task. So that's really the thinking behind putting this webinar. There are so many questions to be answered when it comes to the question of selling online. Why, how, and most importantly, where. So I want to start or maybe just share a brief case study with you of a GlobalLinker member. The business name is Archetype Studio from Mumbai. It's a 4-year-old, or rather young, I should say, a 4-year young brand, stationery brand from Mumbai called Archetype Studio that exclusively sells online through their e-commerce store that they have built using the GlobalLinker capability. So I've been associated with this business from the very start, and I've been privy to the business growth and how they've gone about growing their business. In peak season, they sell close to 3,000 annual planners, priced at the average of rupees 2,000 rupees. And all of this with minimal to no marketing dollars being spent on promoting the e-commerce store. But it's not like they just set up the e-commerce store and the sales came in. There were several things they tried, they learned, and that's how they have been growing. The first year they launched, they sold close to 100 planners. The next year, it was 1,000. The following was 2,500. And I know this year they're targeting at 5,000 plus planners being sold in peak season. So they first started by selling on a particular market place, and they realized that the sales were increasing as was expected. However, on a closer look, they realized while the sales are increasing, the profits were reducing. So they wanted to analyze and understand why that was happening. The number one reason was that the number of returns was significantly high, which was coming at a cost to the organization. But worst still was that the products that were being returned were not in a saleable condition thereafter. The one aspect that came as a shock to the promoter was that she realized that the marketplace that she was selling on was using a technique called predatory pricing, where the marketplace prices your product much lesser than even what you would like for it to be sold at. So it worked from the marketplace point of view because they were gaining new customers. But for this particular brand, it didn't go too well because her existing customers or previous customers that she was in touch through social media, they took offense to this and they said that, you are selling to us at a particular price, but this marketplace is pricing it much lesser. So she was starting to lose her loyal customers, which was not really good for the business. So just to summarize, in the short term, if you looked at the short term gains, it was seeming like it was a positive proposition. But in the longer term, the promoter realized that this is not the way she wants to build her brand and her customer base. So she decided to set up her own e-commerce store on GlobalLinker. And what I'm going to do here is also at this point share the presentation with you, because I do have her website URL here as well. So this is the store is called archetype.linker.store, and she promotes this website using Instagram. It's the most popular marketing channel for her. She's built a community of loyal shoppers via Instagram, about 30,000, more than 30,000 followers, and all organic, no paid followers. What she really did was the budgets that she was using to fund the returns from the marketplace, she started using the same budgets and those same inventory of products, the quantity, to start gifting it to influencers influencers and who would then post it to their social media accounts with a link to her website, and there were new customers coming to her website, and she wasn't really spending marketing dollars. It was just creative ways of promoting the business. So this really brings us to the question and the topic of today, which is selling online, marketplace, or your own e-commerce store. I want to pick where we left last in the previous webinar. We talked about the 4 phases of digital transformation journey. The first one is digital foundation, and I would imagine a lot of you who've joined this webinar have already gone past the first stage. You have the basics in place. You want to sell online. You probably have a basic digital presence and are probably getting into stage 2, which is digital expansion of selling digitally. Followed by digital optimization, and that followed by digital maximization. For today's discussion, I would like to focus on 2 and 3. But if any of you in the audience are in stage 4, I would love to connect with you. I would like to hear your experiences. Maybe you and I together can help other business owners who are in stage 2 and 3. So please do send us a note and tell us which stage of the business journey you are at, and how can GlobalLinker help and assist you. So, while we are sort of talking about this, I do want to throw some light on the most important resource we as a business owner have, and that needs to be used extremely wisely, which is time. So now that you want to sell online, you want to decide where to invest your time in. We must understand and analyze correctly on where we invest our time. To help you answer this question, I'm going to cover today why sell online, how to decide on the platform to start selling on, and any other analysis and takeaways that will come out of here. At the end of this webinar, I will be sharing a very rich guide with you on selling online. So please do stay tuned during the course of this webinar, and our team will be sharing a guide right at the end of this webinar. The objective of today's webinar is not just to educate or talk, but it's really to assist you. So as you have any questions, comments, suggestions, thoughts, please do write in the chat window on the right-hand side of the screen, and let's keep the conversation going. Don't hesitate to send me a direct message on GlobalLinker. I'll share my credentials towards contact details towards the end of the webinar. Please do write, and I would love to stay connected here on. A very big thank you at this moment to our GlobalLinker community of sellers who sell online and have very graciously shared a lot of insights with me. So if you see me quoting your experiences or your examples, you know who you are and you're awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences for the benefit of everyone who's attending this webinar today. So let's start with addressing the basics of why sell online. In case you're still on the fence about selling online, I'm guessing you're not because you're attending this webinar, but in case you are, here is an interesting statistic for you. There are more than 90 million online shoppers in India, and this is 8 times more than in 2013. So I've got this information from a BCG report. I've provided the link at the bottom of the screen. But if you want me to send you this link, please do send me a message, and I'll share the link to this BCG report with you. So with this statistic, we really need to go where our buyers live, and that is online. I really like this quote by Jamie Shanks, and he says, if you pride yourself on being where your buyers are, why aren't you online yet? So if you're not there already, this section of the webinar, hopefully we will convince you. You should be there. You should invest time in selling online. And here are some of the benefits that are very well known, but just to set context for this webinar, selling online really helps you get past geographical boundaries. It obviously adds to your profits. All of this collectively provides you very rich data and insights that you can use in creating customized programs and customized marketing programs for your customers. With doing all of this, you will gain significant competitive edge over competitors. You will be present online when consumers are looking for products and services that either you or your competitors offer. You want to be present on the web, and you want to be searchable. You want to be found by your consumers. And all of this collectively helps you build a brand in the longer term, so that your consumers know you, and your consumers have either heard of you if they haven't, if they're not your existing clients. More importantly, I want to take just a brief minute and talk about B2B businesses here. Because at GlobalLinker, we are very often asked by B2B businesses that, why do I need to have an e-commerce store? My products are not for retail sale. I would say it's extremely important, as important, if not more, for B2B businesses to have their e-commerce presence as it is for B2C customers. Remember, a website is the only resource that works for you when nobody else is working. You wouldn't even know who's looking for you, or the category of products or services that you offer that is being searched online. You want to be found. And chances are, if you're being found with an e-commerce store which is conducive to starting a sale related discussion. So for example, if you're not comfortable putting prices on your e-commerce store, you can always add a price on request button or an inquiry button on your e-commerce store. But just providing and displaying your products in a e-commerce like catalog is going to be very helpful for your business and for prospective clients from India or abroad to be able to find you. So extremely important to have online presence for B2B customers as B2B businesses as well. So now that you have decided you want to sell online, the big question really is, where do you want to sell? Is it a marketplace like Amazon or Flipkart or Myntra in case of apparels and accessories? Or is it your own e-commerce store? So before we get into the comparison between marketplaces and own e-commerce store, I want to quickly talk about the process that is involved in setting up your online presence. Very briefly captured here in 3 steps. You have to start by setting up, where you make sure you have your inventory documented, you have the photo shoot in place, you've written product descriptions, you've got all the compliance related details like GST registration or any other registrations your business requires. You've got the pricing right for your online customers. Once you have the setup done, you start selling. Now you will notice everything that we talked about in the setting up stage is applicable whether you are selling on marketplaces or your own online store. So you want to at least get started with this step if you haven't already. Once you're set up, you start selling, you set up your social media accounts, you promote your online business, you build your base and your followers. And then on, you move on to expanding, because you've got the setup in place, you've got the initial set of customers and learnings, most importantly, which will help you create customized marketing programs, run special promotions, and increase your customer base in the long run. It's extremely critical to understand these micro steps before we get into the comparison, as this will help us weigh our options better. Selling on a marketplace, in my opinion, is a bit like selling in a large departmental store like Big Bazaar. So your product will be found, it will be seen by prospective customers. You don't have to worry about the footfall. The supermarket does that work for you. And similarly, selling on your own store is like selling in a standalone store. You have to drive traffic. You have to make sure the signage looks great. You've got the right SEO in place such that people are coming to your own store. So at this point, let's get into a bit of understanding the nitty-gritties between the two and the comparison between the two. And let's start by a critical virtue, which is customer base, reaching a large and ready customer base. Attracting a large customer base is the biggest USP of a marketplace. And that's why you will see on this screen here, where I've shown the 2 options in forms of trump cards. You will see marketplaces rates higher on the competitive rating than the online store, because in marketplaces you really don't do the work in getting the customer, and that's why I feel it's a very attractive proposition for most business owners to start selling on the marketplace. On the contrary, on your own online store, you work really hard to get your customers. But I will also like to emphasize that the rewards that you get in the longer term are much higher in building your customer base, attracting customers to your own online store, because it's really a digital asset that you are building for yourself. Moving on from here is the second parameter that we will talk about, which is competition from other brands. When you own your own online store, or when a customer comes to your own online store, they come here for your brand. They've only come here looking for your products or services, or because they found something interesting on social media or Google about your business, and they've come here looking for you. Then they're not going to be distracted by any other options on your own store. On the contrary, on the marketplace algorithm itself works in a way where when they're searching for, even if they're searching for your product or brand, they will be shown competitive brands. And you can see even on the screen there, if a user is looking for notebooks, there are notebooks from different brands that are being shown, very often even competing for attention in terms of showing price markdowns, highlighting certain characteristics, so on and so forth. Moving on to the next parameter is investing in marketing strategies. So marketplaces invest a lot in their own marketing strategies. They have huge global teams and a lot of budgets to be able to invest into their search engine optimization and to be able to rank higher, so much so that they will their set template also works very well for SEO of your product. On your own online store, you work hard in setting up these marketing practices. But as I mentioned earlier, in your own online store, you have to have a longer term context, because everything that you're building, everything that you're investing in is going to pay off in the longer run. The more people coming to your store, the better your store site will rank on Google. And our team of experts at GlobalLinker is here to help you in setting up the basics, advanced, or at any level of marketing help that you need. So the longer term gains, I would like to emphasize, are much higher. And it is getting relatively simple for business owners to be able to market their own site. There are several tools, social media platforms, several techniques that are easily available, and even help and assistance that is easily available. Next, let's talk about ease of use. It's a clear draw here. It's as easy to use a marketplace as it is to set up your own online store. In the past, this wasn't the case. So if we were having this webinar sometime back, a few years back, this wouldn't have been the case, because setting up your own online store meant investing in a technology team or working with an agency. That's not the case anymore. While those options still exist, but there are several do-it-yourself DIY store creators that are very easy to use. It's almost like creating a page, and you can see what you're working on. Even the platform that's offered on GlobalLinker, linker.store, is a do-it-yourself module. Extremely easy to use. You can do the initial setup of the store literally in 10 minutes. And whenever you need help or you need hand-holding, our team is there. So just summarizing on ease of use, it's a draw. Both of them are equally easy to use. It's as easy to set up a seller account on Marketplace as it is to set up your own e-commerce store. Let's talk about design flexibility as you're setting up your Marketplace page or your own store. When it comes to the Marketplace, it's relatively simple. But this is also because the page comes with its own design restrictions or a framework that one has to follow. You can add images, descriptions, and images at different angles. But overall layout is you have to adhere to what the Marketplace has. And even if you see on my screen here, I've tried to highlight in red is how small your company name or your brand name may show on the Marketplace page. It may vary from Marketplace to Marketplace, but you have to work very hard in building your brand through a Marketplace. Whereas when it comes to your own online store, this is your store, this is your place. You decide everything, right from the page template and layout to the colors to where you want your brand positioning to be. And even if you're looking for some page customizations, There are many store creator solutions that will work with you. And once again, GlobalLinker, linker.store, that's offered on GlobalLinker, is one of those solutions that will help you with your choice of a site, and we'll also help you build it if you require. Next, let's talk about money, and let's talk about payment and fees. Most marketplaces have high margins and commission fees, and you can never be sure of when these policies will change. Clearly, the marketplace will inform you, but you will have little to no control over these. On your own online store, you decide the policies, the payment terms, whether you want to enable cash on delivery or not, whether your returns is 15 days or 30 days. How does it work best for you? And initially, when you have selected the e-commerce store creator you want to sell on, and you've made sure you have the right terms and everything set up, then you are fully in control of the situation. And several e-commerce store solutions, once again, like linker.store on GlobalLinker, are offered completely free of cost. So if you were to build your e-commerce store on linker.store, there is no charge on you to set up that store at all. If anything, it comes with a pre-negotiated rate with the payment gateway provider and the logistics provider as well. So moving on from there is algorithms and rankings. This one may not sound critical or important, but it is extremely critical. How your product places on the algorithm or on the marketplace basically decides how often customers see it, and sometimes even if it's been shown in a way that's conducive to a purchase. So going back to the analogy of our departmental store, let's say you sell vitamins, and one day the departmental store decides we don't want to sell vitamins anymore. If your business is only selling on that marketplace and you've put all your eggs in one basket, this will not be a happy situation for your business. Whereas on your own online store, you have complete control over how you want to place your products, where you want to place your products. You do set up the right SEO, the right keywords, but once you have mastered this art, there is no stopping you and your store from going. No rules or regulations of customer service departments telling you whether this image will work or that will work. So you're fully in control. I remember from one of the examples that our users of GlobalLinker shared with us, that their whole photo shoot that they did for their products was rejected by a marketplace because the angle they felt was not correct. So there was a lot of investment that was made, and that was entirely rejected. So you want to be very clear about these things, and you want to know these things in advance before you start setting up for the marketplace, so that you are investing in the right manner and way. Next, I want to talk about owning the customer base and insights. In my opinion, this is the most critical differentiator. If you don't own the customer base and insights, it could mean that you're missing on a huge potential and a huge revenue opportunity, because you won't know who your customer is, how to target them. On marketplaces, very often you will not have significant details to understand, to know your customer. Whereas in your own store, you build your own database of their email IDs, their phone numbers, their details, and you can really find creative ways of getting more information from your clients if they're happy to share it with you. And you could run some extremely customized campaigns. For example, you could come up with a special campaign for Diwali with a promo code, which could be Diwali 20, Diwali 10, depending on what program you are running. If you know your customers' birthdays, you could create a special promo code, which could be your customer's name along with the happy birthday message. And you could ask this customer to share the promo code with 10 other friends and get more traffic to your store on their birthday. So the possibilities are endless on what you can do with your e-commerce store. So as I said, I would like to emphasize owning the customer base and insights, in my opinion, is extremely critical to ensure long-term success of your business. The next one is generating B2B sales. You are unlikely to generate any B2B inquiries if you're selling exclusively on marketplaces. It's going to be very tedious for anybody to find you on a marketplace and then look for you and try and look for your contact details. However, if your products are available in an e-commerce store format on the internet, and that's done through your own online store, chances are B2B inquiries will come to you, because people who are looking at your site will know how to contact you. Your contact details are going to be there in the footer. They can send you a note on your e-commerce store, so on and so forth. So at this moment, let's summarize here. Clearly, the options have to be weighed on a case-by-case basis. Both marketplaces and your own online store have unique benefits and challenges. Opportunities must be assessed depending on your business, the relevance, the target audience, so on and so forth. If you need any help in answering this question, please do get in touch with us. We will be happy to help you. But if I really had to just summarize, I would say it's not an either or scenario. Selling on marketplaces and your own website both have their own benefits. When used together, in fact, they can magnify your profits and complement each other very well. It's always important to know where you want to use your time and resources and state your business goals. In my opinion, if you have shorter term goals, and if you're looking at selling inventory of a certain stock with a shorter term context, the marketplace option works very well. But if you're looking at building a business in the longer term that you want to sustain by selling online, or make it an online only business, or you want to create an online wing of your existing business, then the own e-commerce store option, in my opinion, works very well for the longer term context, for all the reasons that we went through during the course of this webinar. I do hope you found this information and this comparison helpful. I've shared my contact details here with you on the screen. So if you have any questions, please do write to us. Also, I did share with you at the beginning of this webinar that the topic of today's webinar was inspired by the comments that I read from you. So please do also suggest what are the next few topics you would like me to cover in this webinar series, and I'll be very happy to put together meaningful content for all of you. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.